I'm continuing our discussion of perception. It's a hot item, and it's something that we need to keep talking about because it is really an exceptionally important topic, because perception is everything. It's everything. How we see the world, how we look at the things around us, the people around us, the situations we're in, is all about our perception. And as we well know, and I'm sure you'll get this, if you've ever watched any of those old time, they don't seem to have those anymore, courtroom dramas where people get up on the stand and they're being questioned about this occurrence that happened. And so the first person gets up and tells what they saw and sits down. And then the next person gets up, was in the same place at the same time with the same situation, and says something very different. How can that be? Right? And the third person gets up, and again, you get another slant. So how is that possible? Why is that possible? And it's all about perception. That's why, because each person, of course, is perceiving from their own background, their own memories, their own beliefs that are all unconscious. Everything back there is unconscious, even though we think we're reacting to what we're seeing right in front of us, and in fact, that's not the case at all. So I want to talk today about a situation that occurred to me. This is a real, live, true thing that happened. I was in Home Depot a few days ago. I walked in, and as I'm walking past, these aisles, I see a woman standing by the paint aisle with her dog and her two little kids. And, like, I'm startled because the dog was a standard poodle, completely pink. So if anybody remembers the pink poodle skirts, this poodle skirts or whatever, now I'm really dating myself. But anyway, a pink poodle, totally pink. And she was gorgeous. I mean, she had all the cuts, and actually I have a picture of her, but I don't know if I could show that. But anyway, so so I posted this on my Facebook page, because it was cute, and people were coming over and taking pictures, and I asked her, I said, "Can I take a picture?" And she said, "Sure." And she's smiling, and the kids are laughing, and I said to the kids, "Oh, how is it? How do you like having a pink poodle?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we like it," and they were just laughing and having fun. So anyway, I post this thing on my Facebook page. Well, I think that post has had the most response, and maybe you were one of the people that saw that post. It was just amazing, the responses that I got from people who said everything from "that's abuse" and "that poor animal" and "what a shame," and it's sickening, and really terrible things they had to say, to the other extreme, where people said, the dog is having so much fun, and everybody, smiling, this people are smiling and getting a kick out of it, which was certainly my experience. And so I commented on that after a few of these various posts, comments on my post. I had to chime in and say, wow, here is a perfect example of what A Course in Miracles is talking about when it talks about that perception that makes projection. So we project out onto the world our beliefs, and then that's what we perceive, not the other way around. It's not that we see something and then we decide, or are forced to believe something. No, not at all. It's our beliefs that are then expanded and put out there, and then that's what we see and how we judge it. So this is a very simple story, but it's a very complex background to this whole thing because each person, of course, each one of us has a whole history, right? We have a whole history of our experience with animals, with dogs. Maybe you were bitten by a dog, so you don't like dogs, or maybe someone you know had a bad experience with hair dye. There's a million different things that could be going on in everybody's mind that determines how they perceive this pink poodle. So, um, but the thing to remember here, the key thing we want to remember here is that perception is an internal experience, and it's based on our beliefs that are all subconscious. We're not aware that this is where it's coming from. We seem to be seeing something and reacting in the moment, but that's not true. So, uh, I had to, and as another example, in a different form, because here this was a form of seeing this dog. Oh, and I just want to finish the story about the dog. So now I had I was upset. I said, well, I don't, I love animals. I love all animals, and I wouldn't want to see any dog be hurt or injured in any way. So I did a little research and discovered that people who do this, who actually color their fur on their pets, um, are very creative, and they are using vegetable dyes. They're using things that are totally safe. They're edible. They're perfectly safe. They're not harming the animal in any way, shape, or form. Unless, of course, the animal doesn't like wetness, which, if you try to do that to my cat, I know what kind of a result I would get. So I don't think I'd be doing that. But as far as harming the pet, no way. Okay, there's no way that that would be harmful. And so that made me, at least I felt, good about it. And I came back to the post and I posted that bit of information, as somebody else in the post also commented on that a lot of people bring their pets into dog groomers, and I don't know if the vets do that. I don't think so, but and they do that because they enjoy it. It's for them. It's like getting a tattoo. In fact, it's a lot easier, sure, and a lot less painful to color your pet's fur than to get a tattoo or give one a tattoo. So it's a creative endeavor. That's the way I look at it. It's something someone does, and it brings pleasure to people for the most part. Uh, I know it certainly did with me. So another example I wanted to give is I was reading in the paper in our local area. Well, not so local, but in Nassau County where I used to live. There's an area where there was a coliseum, and a lot of events have gone on there over the years, sporting events and big, musical events and things like that. And now they want to turn that property into a casino. And of course, oh my goodness, you can just imagine the hue and cry on both sides, right? One side is saying this will bring jobs to the area and an entertainment area, and lots of excitement and stuff like that. And on the other hand, you have people saying, "Oh my God, there's going to be drugs and drug dealers and crime and the traffic and all kinds of things." So, which is true? Which is true? And or are they both true? I mean, yeah, who knows what's truth? We don't even know what truth is today. I really do believe that truth is relative to the individual for the very reason that I said before, because perception is an internal experience. And so each of us is going to experience the situation that we're in our own unique way. It's not good and it's not bad, but it is tricky. And that's why we have so much trouble with our relationships and in our businesses and in our social life and every way, other which way, because we could be having a conversation about exactly the same thing. And I'm sure this has happened to you. You're having a conversation with a friend about a topic, and you see it from two completely different angles, right? And before you know it, you're in an argument. And that's not pleasant. That's not fun. So how do we deal with that? How do we deal with this idea that my perception is not your perception? Yeah, it's just not. And I don't. It doesn't have to be. See, I think we have to acknowledge that you're entitled to your perception. I'm entitled to my perception, and that's okay. You know, if it upsets me, now we have something to work on. If your perception is upsetting me, then it's my problem, not the other person's. No matter how much I can list all the reasons why they're wrong and I'm right, it's still my problem because I'm the one who's upset. So it's up to me to decide what I'm going to do with that. And unfortunately, many people choose to do very negative things, and they're hurtful to themselves, to other people. On the other hand, if you can pull yourself together and come from your higher mind, which is what I work with people and train them to do, is to learn how to reach higher, reach to a place where we can find a place to come together. We don't have to agree necessarily, but we can say, uh, you live in your space and I'll live in my space, and it's okay. So that's the kind of thing that will bring a more peaceful world. If we could learn how, each one of us individually learn how to, they don't teach this in school, right? Nobody teaches us in school how to find our own inner resources, to find the peace and the happiness and the joy within ourselves. So that, because when you do that, what happens is it alters your perception. Why? Because if I'm having thoughts of anger and resentment and memories of pain and suffering, that's going to color my perception. I am going to look out at the world and feel very vulnerable and perhaps a little angry or dissatisfied, to say the least. And so things that I'm going to look at, I may see with a jaundiced eye. Whereas on the other hand, if I'm peaceful inside, if I'm happy inside, if I'm contented with who I am as a person and where I am as a person, my perception is going to be so totally different. I'm going to see opportunities. I'm going to see chances to connect with people. I'm going to see joyful moments. And wow, isn't that a much better way to live? So I'm all for that. And I can tell you that I have come 180 degrees myself. Or as a young woman, I was nervous, I was distrusting, I was shy and lacking confidence and fearful, everything, all that kind of stuff. And today I have to say that person is not me anymore. No way, shape, or form am I anything like that. And I am so grateful for A Course in Miracles, which is my spiritual path, for helping me to make that shift, to shift my perception from a place of distrust and fear to a place of love, of compassion, of expansion, of curiosity. I love that word, curiosity, because when you're willing to be open to whatever's going on and to look at it from all different angles, um, that curiosity, it just makes life much more exciting and interesting. I am doing a class. Actually, it's going to be a series. It's called Miracle Mastery Minds, and it's a gathering of people, um, mostly business owners, entrepreneurs, writers, authors, artists, people who are self-employed for the most part, or have a business, and who struggle. We all struggle, but who struggle um, with feeling, like just sometimes we're overwhelmed. Sometimes, I mean, there's just a lot of stress. There's a lot of uncertainty about things, especially in the business world and things going on today. Life is not easy here on planet Earth if we're looking at it from a certain point of view. So We want to shift our perception to a place where we see possibilities, because when we see possibilities, that's where our businesses boom. That's where our life expands. That's where our relationships improve. And so when we can do that, when we can feel curious and interested and vulnerable, even it's okay to feel vulnerable, it's all right to feel like, all right, you can say something to me. It may pinch a little bit, but I'm willing to hear it because maybe there's something valuable there for me to learn. Now, that's very different than, someone, see you, oh, you insulted me and I never want to see your face again or whatever, that kind of thing. But that's not helpful, right? That's not helpful. And maybe the person who said something is totally wrong and they're out of line. And you'll know that because you know who you are. If you know who you are, or I should say that, if you know who you are and you trust your inner resources and you know that you're here for a purpose and that you have something to offer to the world, in whatever form it is, then it doesn't matter what other people say, right? You take it all with a grain of salt. If someone says something nice to you, that's wonderful. If they say something that's not so nice to you, okay, they're entitled. It's up to them. So okay, my main point here is that perception is an internal experience. I say that over and over again. Because it's very, very important to understand that, so that when you do look at something or you judge something as negative, you might want to stop for a minute. You just might want to stop and say, wait a minute now. I'm looking at this person and I'm judging them a certain way. And why is that? Start to do a little self-questioning, like, where is that coming from? Why do I feel put off, or why do I feel um, uh, I don't like this person, or what have you, and kind of dig a little deeper to see what's underneath that, because so often, and this is the last thing I'll say about perception, very often we judge people by these external appearances, whatever they may be. Maybe it's what they're wearing, so we judge them a certain way, or maybe it's the color of their skin, which, wow, that's really whatever. Okay, so we judge people for certain reasons, right? And again, here's where we need to go within and ask ourselves why. Why are we making that judgment? Because everything is based on our own personal experiences or what we were taught as very little children, because little children are like sponges and they take all this information in, and then it's sitting there in their unconscious, and we're not even aware that we have those beliefs. They're so ingrained and so buried. So please make it your business to question yourself in a curious way, not in a way that says, that's you're not judging against yourself. You're curious to know why that kind of feeling is coming up for you. Why are you feeling this way? What is bringing this to you in this form? And if it's something that's unpleasant, and see if you can shift it. See if there's some way, because when you look at certain people and you see something like, for instance, um, there was a Facebook, something I saw on Facebook, um, and the fellow was in like a hoodie kind of a thing, and scruffy beard, and I don't know, just look kind of unkempt, right? So what are we going to do? What did I do? What did I do? My first judgment is, oh, here's one of these unkempt, young guys that, whatever. And then I caught myself and I said, wait a second. I don't know who this person is. I don't know anything about them. I don't know if he's a creative. A lot of creatives look pretty scruffy, and I love them. I love them like crazy, because they're friends of mine, and so then I listened to what he had to say, and it was beautiful. It was pearls of wisdom that came out of his mouth. And it turned out he was a musician. So there you go, a creative. And and so it had nothing to do with his appearance. If I had chosen to keep that frame of reference from my subconscious in my mind, then I never would have been able to appreciate who he truly is as a person. So we do ourselves a disservice when we judge people based on perceptions that uh, may have probably have nothing to do with the truth. Okay. All right. So that's what I have to say. And I, of course, want to tell you that this class, a set of courses that I'll be doing will be starting on February 20th. Be curious, find out what is this thing called A Course in Miracles that can change my life? Because I know it sure did change mine, and it can change yours too. If you are feeling a little um, discombobulated, a little out there, a little unsure, distrustful, any kind of a negative feeling or emotion that's not allowing you to move forward in your life, to see the opportunities that are available because they're out there. They're out there. They're in here. They're in here, actually, and you'll see them out there if you let yourself.